Welcome back to the spooky pumpkin patch. Today we have a real treat for you. The continuation of the Wampus Beast, Part 2. Please enjoy, and remember, like and subscribe so that I can reach more pumpkins. The mist clung low across the clearing, curling between the trees like pale fingers. The sun hadn't yet broken through, and the forest seemed reluctant to wake. Tyler unzipped his tent with a dynamic yawn. "Morning, weirdos," he announced. "I survived the night. No cryptid cuddles." Jasmine stretched and rubbed her eyes. Her voice was groggy, but uneasy. "Did anyone else hear footsteps last night? Like, slow ones?" Chris crawled out of his tent, clutching his EMF reader like a security blanket. His hair was sticking up at odd angles. "I logged 3 spikes between 2 and 4 a.m. Could be interference, could be ghost cats." Mia stepped out, blinking against the fog. Her gaze swept the clearing, then her face fell. "Wait, where's the firewood pile?" Everyone turned. The spot beside the pit was empty. Not scattered, not trampled. Just gone. Tyler frowned. "Did someone move it?" Jasmine crossed her arms. "Why would we move it into the woods?" Chris walked towards the tree line, crouching to the ground. His voice was low. "There's drag marks, like something pulled it, but no footprints." Mia hugged herself, her camera dangling at her side. "Okay, that's creepy." Tyler forced a chuckle. "Maybe a bear with a taste for kindling? Let's not jump straight to demon cat conclusions." Chris smirked, though it didn't reach his eyes. "Or she's building a fire for us." A silence followed, heavy and expectant. Even the mist seemed to hold its breath. Despite the unease, they packed up for their planned hike into Linville Gorge. Backpacks were loaded, tents collapsed. The forest was still quiet, but not peaceful. The silence felt deliberate, watching. Jasmine clenched the straps on her pack. "Let's just get through today. No pranks, no ghost stories." Chris slid the EMF reader into his jacket pocket, grinning faintly. "No promises, but I'll keep it on vibe check mode." Tyler clapped him on the back. "Lead the way, Cryptic King." The group started down the trail, their voices fading into the trees. The clearing grew empty, the mist closing in behind them. By the cold ring of stones where the fire had burned, something new remained. A single claw mark, etched deep into the rock. None of them had seen it yet. The mist clung to the trees like wet cobwebs as the group set out, their boots crunching softly on the narrow trail. Linville Gorge sprawled ahead. Dense forests, steep ridges, and a sky so gray it felt like a ceiling. Tyler took the lead, adjusting his pack with exaggerated enthusiasm. "All right, team, let's get this hike going. Fresh air, killer views, and hopefully zero cursed wildlife." Jasmine followed close behind, her arms crossed. "I'm just saying, something dragged that firewood. That's not normal." Chris tightened the straps on his backpack. "Technically, nothing about this trip has been normal. But hey, we're making memories." Mia's voice was soft, barely above the crunch of the leaves. "Did anyone else hear whispering last night? Like, really faint?" Tyler glanced back at her, smirking. "Whispering? You sure it wasn't Chris talking in his sleep again?" Chris raised his eyebrows in mock offense. "I only whisper cryptid facts in my sleep. It's educational." They laughed, but sound was brittle. The forest felt heavier today. The trees pressed in closer. The air was damp, almost sticky, like the mouth of a cave. Jasmine kept scanning the woods. Why does it feel like we're being watched?" Chris's smirk faded into something smaller. "Because we probably are. Deer, raccoons, ancient cursed cat women, take your pick." Tyler forced a laugh. "Okay, but seriously, if we see glowing eyes, I'm out." Mia stopped suddenly, her breath catching. "Guys, look." She pointed to a tree just off the trail. Deep claw marks slashed across the bark. 6 parallel lines, clean and fresh. Jasmine stumbled back a step. Nope. That wasn't here yesterday. Chris crouched near the marks, his voice low. Spacing's too wide for a bear, too clean for a cougar, and way too creepy for comfort. Tyler's laugh cracked. Maybe it's a prank. Some local trying to freak out tourists. Chris didn't look up. Or it's her territory. No one argued. They kept moving. The trail narrowed, the mist thickened until it felt like wading through water. Every snap of a twig made from clench. No birds, no wind, just the sound of their own breathing. Do you hear that? Jasmine whispered. What? Mia asked. Nothing, Jasmine said. That's the problem. They reached a ridge overlooking the gorge. The view should have been stunning, but the mist below swirled unnaturally, like it was alive. Chris pulled out his EMF reader. The screen spiked. Okay, this thing just went hard red. Maybe it's the altitude, Tyler offered, but his voice lacked conviction. Or maybe it's the part where we're standing on a legendary cryptid stomping ground, Chris muttered. Mia's face had gone pale. I don't like this. Let's just take the photos and head back, Jasmine said quickly. We've seen enough. They huddled for a group shot, trying to smile. As Mia raised her camera, a faint sound drifted up from the gorge. A voice, distant, familiar. Jasmine. Jasmine froze. No, that's not funny. Who said that? Tyler demanded, spinning around. Chris's EMF reader shrieked softly in his hands. Guys, we need to go. Now. They packed up quickly. The trail felt longer than before. The silence louder. The mist thicker. She said my name last night, Mia whispered. I thought I imagined it. Chris's face was grim. She's testing us, seeing who'll break first. Then we don't break, Tyler said firmly, though his hands trembled. We stick together. We get out. They started back toward camp, boots quick on the damp ground. The forest watched. The mist curled. On the ridge behind them, the camera would have lingered, if anyone had been watching in the shifting white below. Something moved, just for a second. Tall, feline, watching. By the time they trudged back into camp, the sun was already sinking low, painting the sky in streaks of orange and gray. The forest was still, the kind of stillness that pressed against the ears and made silence feel heavy. Tyler dropped his pack with a groan. Okay, that was a hike. My legs are officially noodles. Jasmine flopped into her camp chair, stretching her arms above her head. Same. I'm gonna need a chiropractor and a therapist after this trip. Mia scanned the clearing, her brow furrowed. Did anyone move the cooler? Chris crouched near the fire pit, running a hand along the stones. Nope, and the firewood's still gone. But hey, the claw marks are still here, so that's comforting. Tyler forced a grin, though it came out crooked. Maybe it was a raccoon with a vendetta, or a bear with a flair for drama, or a bored park ranger trying to mess with tourists, Jasmine muttered, rubbing her arms against the chill. Chris smirked faintly. Or the Wampus beast marked her turf, you know, like a cryptid version of reserved seating. The attempt at humor fell flat. Guys, Mia's voice was soft, but it cut through the stillness. I know we're joking, but something feels off, like we're not alone. Tyler raised his eyebrows, trying to ease the tension. Yeah, we're not. We've got Chris and his EMF Tamagotchi. Chris held the device up like a trophy. Hey, this thing is legit. It spiked again when we passed that ridge. Could have been magnetic rock or ghost cats. Science is flexible. The group laughed, but the sound was thin, stretched tight across their nerves. The forest gave nothing back. No rustle of leaves, no insects, no birds, only silence. Jasmine leaned forward, staring into the tree line. Okay, but seriously, what if someone's out there, like a real person, watching us? Chris didn't smile this time. Statistically, that's more terrifying than a cryptid. People are unpredictable. Cryptids just want snacks and solitude. Tyler clapped his hands together, forcing cheer into his tone. Alright, let's not spiral. We're fine. We got gear, daylight, and each other. Mia's gaze lingered on the darkening forest, her voice barely a whisper. Until the sun goes down. They were unpacking dinner supplies when the low crunch of tires on the gravel drew their attention. A white truck eased into the clearing and came to a stop. The door opened. A man stepped out. A lean figure in his mid-50s with sun-worn face and no-nonsense air. His name tag read Ranger Holt. "Evening, folks," he said. His voice calm but carrying authority. "You the group registered up here for the weekend?" Tyler stood up. "Yeah, that's us. Everything okay?" "Mostly." Holt adjusted his hat, scanning their sight. "Just came to give you a heads up. Burn ban went into effect this afternoon. No fires tonight, not even small ones." Jasmine groaned. "Seriously? We were just about to cook." "Sorry," Holt replied evenly. "Dry air, low humidity, and gusts coming in overnight. We've had flare-ups from less. You'll need to head down into town if you want a hot meal." Chris blighted, half joking. "Jonas Ridge still got that diner with the neon possum sign?" For the first time, Holt cracked a small smile. "Still flickers like it's haunted. Food's decent, coffee's strong." "Do you get a lot of campers up here?" Mia asked, curious. "Some," Holt said with a shrug. "Not as many as we used to. Stores keep people away." "You mean the Wampus beast?" Tyler asked, half grinning. "The Catwoman myth," Holt said dryly. "Yeah, I've heard it. Locals love it. Makes for good campfire talk." Chris leaned forward, grinning. 6 legs, glowing eyes, mimics voices, classic cryptid profile. The ranger's expression hardened just slightly. "Look, I don't buy into the folklore, but this is the wilderness. People get lost, injured, spooked. You hear things out here. Echoes, animals, sometimes your own voice bouncing back at you." Jasmine shifted uncomfortably. "We heard something last night. Thought it was Tyler." Holt paused, his gaze flickering towards the woods. "Could have been anything. But just in case, stay together. Don't wander, and if something feels wrong, trust that instinct. The woods don't care if you believe in monsters." He tipped his hat, turned, and climbed back into the truck. Sounds of tires faded into the trees until nothing remained but silence. Tyler exhaled, trying to lighten the mood. "Well, that..." The SUV's headlights cut narrow beams through the thickening trees as Tyler turned the key and the ignition rumbled to life. Gravel crunched under the tires as they pulled away from camp, winding down the mountain road toward town. The forest pressed close on both sides, shadows long and stretching as the last scrapes of sunlight bled away. "All right," Tyler said, drumming the steering wheel as they picked up speed. "Next stop, Haunted Possum Diner. Let's hope they've got pie." "If they don't," Jasmine muttered, buckling her seatbelt with exaggerated care, "I'm turning this car around and braving the cursed woods for a granola bar." Chris was already fiddling with his EMF reader, its soft beeps cutting through the hum of the road. "Honestly," he said, glancing at the screen, "I trust the granola bar more than the small-town meatloaf." Maya stared out the window, her reflection faint against the glass as the forest blurred by. "Do you think Ranger Holt was holding back? He didn't say he believed the legend, but he seemed nervous." Chris shrugged without looking up. "Could be. Or maybe he's just seen enough weird stuff to know when not to laugh." Tyler's grin flickered in the glow of the dashboard. "Or maybe he's the Wampus beast in disguise. Plot twist." "Tyler," Jasmine said, her tone mock serious, "if you start glowing or grow extra legs, I'm pushing you out of the car." Their laughter echoed briefly inside the SUV, bouncing off the vinyl seats and worn upholstery. But it was a fragile sound, too thin to hold back the dark pressing in outside. The road curved sharply, branches arched overhead, their tips clawing at the fading sky. The last light fractured into bars across the pavement. "Wait," Chris said suddenly, leaning forward, voice sharp. "Did you see that?" Maya jerked upright. "What?" "Back there in the trees." He pointed over his shoulder, the EMF reader forgotten in his lap. "Something moved." Tyler eased off the gas. "Probably a deer." But Jasmine was already craning her neck, eyes narrowing at the shifting blur of forest. "No, that was tall. Person tall." Chris's voice dropped, almost reverent, or cryptid tall. They all peered into the darkness as the SUV rolled forward. Nothing now but trunks and mist. But for a heartbeat, just a flicker,
Something had stood at the shoulder, upright, still, and watching. Maya's whisper filled the quiet. It wasn't walking. It was just standing there. Tyler's knuckles whitened on the wheel. Okay, we're not doing this. It was probably a hiker or a tree playing tricks. Yeah, Chris said, half joking. A tree with glowing eyes and a vendetta. Jasmine didn't laugh. I swear it was looking at us. The SUV carried on, headlights stretching ahead into the void. But inside, the mood had shifted. Their earlier banter drained away, leaving only silence, and the weight of the force pressing closer with every turn. Chris spoke softly, almost to himself. Rule number 6. If something watches you from the woods and doesn't move, it's not lost. You are. Tyler forced a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Cool. Thanks for that. I'll sleep great tonight. The laughter didn't return. The forest fell away as the road straightened, opening into a stretch of roadside gravel. A flickering neon sign buzzed weakly in the distance. A possum tail curled, eyes glowing electric green. The diner. Warm light spilled through its big front windows, yellow against the night. Tyler pulled the SUV into the lot, the tires crunching gravel, the engine sighing as he shut it off. Inside, the air smelled of fried food and burnt coffee. Vinyl booths stretched along the walls, and a jukebox hummed softly from the corner. A few locals nursed steaming mugs, their faces creased with years and stories. The waitress greeted them with a smile, sliding menus under her arms. Y'all look like you've seen a ghost. Just a really aggressive tree, Tyler said with a half laugh, or something that looked like one. Trees don't stare, Jasmine muttered under her breath. From a nearby booth, an older man lifted his head. His eyes were sharp despite the weight of years. His voice was gravel. You kids camping near Brown Mountain? Tyler nodded. Yeah, Ranger told us no fires, sent us down here. The old man's expression didn't soften. Good. The mountain's been restless lately. Maya leaned forward. Restless how? Animals won't go near it. Dogs bark at nothing, and folks hear voices, always after dark. Chris's attention sharpened. Voices like mimicking? The man's eyes narrowed. She calls to people. Sounds like someone you know, but it ain't. Jasmine's skin prickled. We heard something last night. Thought it was Tyler. The old man nodded slowly. His voice lowered, the clatter of dishes fading beneath it. My nephew went missing up there, fall of '97. He was 20. Strong, smart, not the type to get lost. The group fell silent. He went out for firewood, never came back. We searched for days. Dogs wouldn't track, compass spun in circles. Then we heard him, calling from the ridge. His voice crackled slightly. But it wasn't him. Voice was right, words were wrong, like it was learning how to sound human. Maya whispered, What happened after? We left, the man said flatly, fast. Never did find him. Never heard him again until 6 months ago. The diner seemed to shrink around them, every clink of a fork suddenly too loud. Hikers found remains, just bones, buried shallow near the ridge. No gear, no clothes, just a ring. His ring. Jasmine's voice was soft. That's awful. The man's gaze drifted into the window, toward the dark line of trees beyond. Sheriff said it looked like he'd been there a long time, but the bones were clean, like something had kept them, protected them, or claimed them. The waitress returned with plates, breaking the tension, but the food sat mostly untouched. Their appetites had withered. The legend wasn't just a story anymore. It was a warning. And here's where we leave our story for this evening. Make sure you tune in for part 3 coming soon. And as always, like and subscribe so that we can keep the stories coming. Thank you for your time and have a spooky night.